Welcome back to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld, and I've been doing this program with Justin Land every other week about channeling and highlighting different channels. And today I have a really, I think, an excellent person who's been tuning in, Dottie Woodward. But Justin, let's talk about what you call the channeling perspective first. Why are you doing this program? What inspired you?
Well, I mean, just the fact that I get a lot of information from channelers since the last 4 or 5 years. A lot of my main go-to wisdom guidance when it's not coming from inside is coming from sources of explicitly channeled material. The concept of channeling is we're all channeling all the time, but this is more specifically a focus on more separated from the ego persona information.
Yeah, and there is new information. I mean, you can't get new information from the old texts, that's all been around, but what channels are bringing through is a kind of current sort of a gauge of the evolution. So let me introduce Dottie Woodward. I met her in this remote viewing class that I was hosting for Portal to Ascension. And Dottie, I don't even know why, because you're pretty advanced. I don't even know why you took that class, remote viewing.
Well, I don't know. I've always been interested in remote viewing from the very beginning. I think I heard about it in the 1980s.
Right.
And now I do, I don't think it's remote viewing, but I do long distance healing. And so the long distance healing, the way I do it, I actually can see my hands and my body on the person that I'm healing. In other words, I feel like I'm there. And so I've got a lot of good feedback from it. And so I thought I could up my game by doing.
Well, has it helped your game? Has it helped you? Or not directly?
Yes, it has. Because, it's we can always become better. I mean, our brain is always looking, if you're, that type of person, you're always looking for more to do, more to be. And I'm in service to others. So I always want to do more and be more for them.
Well, thanks. Justin, as we've been finding out, most of people who are started channeling were pretty regular people living a normal life, if you want to call it that. So I think Dottie, why don't you tell your story? Because you were in the world out there. Yeah, you had some kind of normal kind of job, and then tell us your story.
Well, it wasn't a normal job. I was a teacher.
Oh, you were a teacher. Well, that's pretty normal.
Yeah. Well, but
I mean, regular. Yeah.
What happened was, and I think part of it, I mean, it wasn't part of my new life, but I think it kind of laid the foundation, because I was teaching fourth grade. And at that time, I became part of the Teacher in Space program with Krista McAuliffe.
Nice.
And so I went to Cape Canaveral, and I taught my kids all about the space program before the shuttle went up. And long story short, I stayed with the people in NASA doing other things, and the families of the astronauts that passed away through the explosion, they didn't want the astronauts to be forgotten. So they decided to make the Challenger centers in libraries and colleges all over the United States. And so I helped with writing the lesson plans for the Challenger centers. And we worked with that. And then finally, and I had one of the first young astronauts groups in my city where I taught. So then in 2001, I was teaching fifth grade. I was teaching science and reading. And I decided I went to Greece. I had a trip to Greece as my retirement gift from my sister. So we went with a professor that taught Greek language in Ohio. And I think at that time I had been, you lose your identification when you lose your job. And it's like,
Right.
I wasn't a teacher anymore. I was just a real person, a regular person.
Oh, so you had retired from teaching when you went to Greece. Is that it?
Right. Yeah, I retired in June.
Okay.
And then in July or August, I went to Greece with the group, the college group from the professor, because he invited, there were 30 of them. He invited them all to go over to Greece to do a tour of Greece. And so my sister's daughter was in the class and they were going as mentors. And she said, okay, you're coming with me as a gift for retirement. And so we landed, and that was the beginning of the tour. And it was a beautiful tour, a lot of antiquities. We went to a lot of the different places in Greece. And I was just walking along, doing my thing, being a tourist, when we went to Patra. And Patra is on the coastline of Greece.
Is that the port? Petra
Yeah.
is the port of Athens. Yeah. Right.
Pepelonis. And so we had a stopover to get lunch, and we stopped right at the Greek Byzantine church. That's a very big cathedral there. And everybody went to get something to eat. And then one of the tour guides said, hey, I think we can get a visit into the cathedral if it's open. So I didn't feel like eating. So I was sitting on a bench outside the church, and it was like a palazzo. So I was sitting there, and everybody finished eating and they went into the church. And I was just sitting there enjoying being there. And so all of a sudden, it was like 10 minutes later, I thought, oh my gosh, I better get in there. I'm going to miss the information that the tour guides was giving about the inside of the church. And actually, unbeknown to me, it was St. Andrew's Church. He was crucified right there.
He was crucified there at that spot, you're saying?
Somewhere very, very close there. And in fact, I think some of the St. Andrew's bones or something are supposed to be buried there. But anyhow, I got up from the bench that was outside the door, and I opened the door to walk in. And as my foot stepped over the door sill, I have to tell you, it was like this invisible surge of energy, just in waves, just hit my body. And it was uncontrollable. I had no control over my body at all. I started sobbing, weeping, shaking. I was shaking so bad that I couldn't control what was happening.
And nothing like that has ever happened to you before. Had it ever happened?
No. No. It was like crazy. And there's a part of me that said, oh my God, the inside or the outside is doing this. And my inside brain said, you better hide so that you can get over this. And so, in a church, a cathedral, they have the middle altar, and then they have smaller altars on each side. So I saw the altar to my left, and I said, okay, I can get up there. I can hide around the altar where nobody will see me because everybody was over on the right side. And as I did, there was a group of children that were having their catechism classes right there at the door. And I And I said, oh, I can't go there. So I went up and I went to go to the altar. And so there were children in the front row. And so I just stuck in I think it was like the third or fourth row from the altar. And I sat there and I was shaking and sobbing, I mean, loudly. And the children in front of me kept turning around looking, and I couldn't stop no matter what I did. And now I realized it was the waves of energy that were hitting my body. And it scared them so bad, they got up and left. So I sat there until I could control the fact, at least, be invisible in the crowd. And so finally I had enough strength to get up and walk over, and I was at the back of the whole tour. Mm-hmm. So they went out the door and I just followed them, and my sister was part of the tour. So to this day, she has no idea what happened to me, because they were all milling around the tour guide listening to the information, and I was just back behind everybody. And the plan was to get on the ferry to go over to we were going to Delphi. Right. And so
your sister never found out what happened to you?
She never saw it or anything. She doesn't know anything that happened to me. Well, it was like crazy.
Maybe she's watching this interview.
I've told her about it, but she, it's like she's not really into it.
Yeah, but then what happened?
So, everybody was looking on the ferry. They were all, around talking, and I just sat there, and I can tell you, then we got on a Greyhound bus, but the bus, everybody was talking on the bus. So I became invisible in the crowd, just trying to feel what happened to me, because I have to tell you that there was such a feeling of bliss and grace that I have never, ever in my whole life ever felt, no matter what. I've never felt that kind of, and I think what happened is it might have opened it. Well, I know it was like an attunement from the universe.
Well, it sounds like a Kundalini awakening. I've talked to many people who talk about that bliss and that crying and shaking, and
right.
So,
right.
But keep going, because you go deeper.
Okay, well then, what happened was it got pushed to the sidelines, because when we came home, we couldn't come home because it was 9/11, and we got stuck in the Charles de Gaulle airport. And so, and then I just, I kind of really forgot about it a little bit, but I wanted to, it was St. Andrew Cathedral. And for some reason, I felt after that experience, I had a real big connection to St. Andrew. And so I would go in the bookstore, and I would take my hands and I would look for a book about St. Andrew. And all of a sudden my hands started, they started vibrating, like if you're holding an electric shaver. I could feel the buzzing in my hands, and then that would tell me what book to read, or the book would just fly off of the shelf, and I would pick it up. So that became a really big sign for me what book to read. And then from then I just started my path. I found a group that was doing soul recognitions. And so one thing led to another. I did soul recognitions. I became a soul recognition facilitator, heart thread facilitator. And then I became a Reiki master teacher and a hypnotherapist. I became a Mayan master healer and
were you getting visions and visitations and energy?
What happened is first of all, I went with a group to North Carolina. And the first time I saw anything, I was on a sacred land. And every time this happened to me, I was by myself. I wasn't with a group or anybody, but I was walking along the edge of this eucalyptus forest. And all of a sudden I saw all these gnomes pop their heads out. And it's like, oh, hi, how are you? And then I walked past and I thought, oh my gosh, what just happened? And I turned around and looked back and they were gone. But as I kept walking straight ahead, that's when I saw the Indians on horses. They were riding right across the property that I was on. And I just stopped and watched them as they rode across the property. And I knew, at that time, I knew exactly that I was seeing things that weren't really in this dimension. And then the next day we had a sacred ceremony to honor the land. And there was a sacred tree that was there. And we had, I think it was a Cherokee chief that came to help with the ceremony. And I was standing there, and all of a sudden I saw this Indian chief with this pole with all these feathers and paraphernalia on the pole, and he was in a line, a straight line with all these braves, and there were women and children coming behind him, and he was coming out of the forest, walking from my right. He was coming to the group, but they only got so far. And every time this happens to me, my heart gets so overwhelmed that it's hard to control physically, so that I can talk or say or do what I have to do. But anyhow, just as I saw the group of Indians with the Indian chief, the Cherokee chief that was leading the ceremony turned around and he said, oh, by the way, I would like to tell you that the fort where they held all the Indians at the Trail of Tears is right there. And I was standing there and I saw them come out to honor the people that were honoring that land at that time. It was amazing. And yeah, so I had that happen. And then later on, the group I was with, we went to work in Arizona. We went to Scottsdale. Mm-hmm. And we had just wrapped up a week of work and healing, because we did soul recognitions and circuitry alignment and heart thread. And we were wrapping up and we were having a meeting. You know how sometimes you have a meeting at the end to say, you know, what happened. And I was sitting there and all of a sudden I got this really heavy feeling like I had to say something. And you know, when people are talking and you don't want to talk out or you don't want to say anything. So I tried to hold it in, and the tears started coming down, and the head of the group said, what's going on? And I said, I don't know. And she said, well, I think you need to say whatever's on your mind. And all of a sudden I started channeling.
That was the first time you started channeling.
Yeah, that was the first time. Yeah, so I had no idea, but now I know that for me, it's like, you know, when you're trying to tune in a channel on a radio station, mm-hmm. Okay, what happens is I made a contract. After that, I made a contract to just channel those people and be a spokesperson for that group, because that group has such high integrity and love, and it's not, I can tell by the energy that comes through me, because I have channeled other people, and I can tell the difference in the energy.
That group, what is that group? Who is that group you're saying?
That's the council, the Council of Light from the Galactic Federation.
That's, you have a question,
Yeah,
Justin?
I want to go back to just to point out that I found it very symbolic that your first energetic breakthrough happened at a site of a death of St. Andrew, and you were on going to a ferry to go make a crossing to Delphi, which is the most famous channeled site. I mean, more channelers were welcome. I mean, there were, something that was in the antique times very active, and I find it for you, Dottie, you obviously picked a very nice location to remind you of your abilities, and it took a while. It's a classic story of, like, I think where there's this bit of time of that energetic, as Alan was speaking about the Kundalini awakening, and then the actual channeling aspect, that you were open in a setting that allowed you to, people encourage you to channel. And I think that's such an important thing to do. So it sounds like a nice route that you took. Was the time different? How much was it between, how many years was between St. Andrews and when you first vocally channeled?
Probably maybe a year. Yeah.
Okay, you just open yourself up, and then I got it. I mean, I think a lot of people there, that was like awakening experience for you, where you saw behind the curtain and you realized that the illusion exists. And
yeah, that was cool, seeing the gnomes. And it was like, and it was like, I don't know, kind of like part of everyday life. It's like, hi, how are you? And then I walked past it and said, whoa, wait a minute.
But it's interesting you mentioned Delphi. That was where the priestess of Apollo would bring through the higher knowledge of Apollo, or whoever was that. Did you have an experience in Delphi at all, or it was already happening for you?
It already happened. I think really what happened, maybe, now through all my different experiences, I've learned that before we come in, we make a contract. And I have to tell you, now through all my experiences, I have seen my contract. I know what my contract is. But I think what happened is we make different on our contract, we make different exit points and also awakening points. And so one of the things, just as we started our tour, right at the Corinth Canal in Greece, we stopped at a jeweler's, I guess it was an antiquities, a really high-end antiquities store. And I saw this Athena, it was a beautiful small medallion on a necklace, and it was really high-end. And it took me the whole time in the store to figure out that I really had to have that no matter what. No, okay, the rest of the tour I wouldn't eat or drink, but I had to have that. So yeah, that was one of the things that I wore for the rest of the trip.
You wore for after the St. Andrews experience or before that?
Before I put it on, I would say a couple days before the St. Andrews. And at one point, when we don't know what we think we should know, I even wondered, like, what connection did I have with St. Andrew? Because that was the only thing I knew that had opened me. So I have no idea.
Right. But so where were you when that Council of Light first started to come through? Where were you?
We were in Scottsdale, Arizona. I was with a group called Soul Support System. They do soul recognitions and circuitry alignment and heart thread. And we had worked the whole week with the people in Sedona, working with them and helping them open up. And I had a lot of soul recognitions just learning to become a facilitator of that. So I had opened up considerably from that, from working with soul work.
So when this thing first started to come through you, the channeling, were you conscious? Did you go unconscious? What was your process?
I was conscious, and it was like this energy surrounded me, and it came down through my head into my heart. When I channel anything, it's not from the pineal, it's from the heart. And so I have to tell you, I had a lot of trouble with ego, because I said, I'm not good enough to do this. Why? I don't know anything. Why? I can't be the one to do this.
Right.
So, yeah.
But so what year was that you started?
It was probably about 2005.
Oh, so you've been doing this now for whatever that is, 16 years then.
Yeah.
Right. And who are the Council of Light? Because you're going to do some channeling for us. Did you have a question?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, first I have to tell you, I think I better tell you about Starfire.
Okay. Yeah, please. Yes.
Okay. I'm a Reiki master teacher. And so I was teaching for a couple weekends upstate to a group. And I came home the last night. I was exhausted. I came home and I just went to bed, and I got up the next morning, and I got in the shower, and I was in the shower, and they've told me lately, they've told me that water is very similar to the crystals. So I got in the shower, and all of a sudden, I would say in 2 seconds, I was downloaded with Starfire.
What is Starfire? Oh, you'll explain what Starfire
It's an energy. It's an energy, and they showed me what color it should be. It was a star. It's an 8-pointed star, and they told me what color it should be. They showed me the shape of it. They told me what I should do with it. They said, you have to work with this, that it will open people's DNA to the 5th dimension. And they showed me my contract that I made with them. They told me how I should present it. And so, yeah, here's the.
What? Oh, wait. It's moving into your background.
Okay.
Oh, I could see it. Yeah, that's what you call the Starfire?
Yes, that's it.
And how do you actually work with? Wait, can you hold it up again? Because I want to get a little. Okay. I like it. Seems familiar to me somehow.
Well, it's familiar to a lot of people, Alan.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Do you get anything from that, Justin? Looking at that image?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, it looks a little bit like the Star of Bethlehem, kind of. Also, there's a bit of a star within a star reflection. Obviously, a typical activation kind of geometry going on there too. I think, speaking to the subconscious. You were into sacred circuitry, you said, right?
Yeah.
I think that these symbols do activate things in people that reawakening DNA and such things.
Right. Well, I was covered with that blue for 2 weeks while I had painted it, and I got it painted. And then I was told that I had to activate people's DNA. And so, what was I going to say? Yeah, when I do that, I can see the ley lines on the body. I can see them light up.
Well, how do you do that? How do you use that symbol to activate the DNA?
Well, it's other symbols. I have to tell you that when I became a Reiki master teacher, then I wanted to do more Reiki. So I went to William Rand's class in England, and he activated me he gave me the Karuna Reiki attunement in Stonehenge. And when I was in Stonehenge, I saw the golden symbols come down into my head. And then they showed me visions of what happened in Stonehenge, but I could never find the history of it. They showed me the vision. Everybody was walking around because there was a class of 30. Everybody was walking around looking at the stones, and I was just sitting on the ground with my hands on the ground. And all of a sudden I got this vision of men walking along with horses and cattle with carriages, and women were working with the men walking and the children. And then all of a sudden that vision went away. And then all of a sudden I saw 3 Norsemen. They were Vikings, and they were standing there with bloody swords. There were 3 of them straight in a line, and the bodies were all over the ground. And I would just sat there looking at that. And when I came home, I've never seen any history from, and then as soon as I saw the vision, I heard this male voice in my head, in my ear, like he was standing right there. And he said, "The earth holds the history of all time." So, yeah, so that's clear audio, but once in a while I get words, I get a male voice talking to me.
So you're a real mystic, but going back to that symbol, then how do you work with that symbol with people?
Okay, what happened was when I got the transmission, the attunement from Starfire, right away I knew exactly what it had to do. I knew what I had to do, and so I sat down, and then I have some girlfriends that I invited them in to help me, and I was working on their body, and we would use certain symbols. And the symbols that we chose, because of the energy that we felt with them, I was just using their guidance. Like they were telling me what to do with the symbols, where to put them on their body. And so I start with the soul star that's above your head. There's 3 chakra stars above your head. I do that. And then I go down to the back. And what happens is, what we've discovered is the symbols that I use on the Starfire attunement, they all end up right at the top, right at the bottom of your rib cage, where your rib cage comes together. And I have been told that is your, some people believe that is your soul seed right there.
And what does that mean? That's where the soul is, you're saying, in the body?
That's where your soul seed, that's where it stays within your body.
And so, all right, that's where the soul is anchored into the body, you're saying? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then working on that helps open the soul to more energy, would you say?
I've got a lot of testimonials that say that it's life-changing.
No, I think we should mention that this is a common theme with a lot of channelers, that they first go through a Reiki training using the symbolism and their mind and moving energy, and this is conducive to opening up to information coming from other sources. And I think it's fascinating. It's a big, for me, something if people are really interested in channeling and getting into Reiki, seems like a good way to facilitate that. Correct, Dottie, would you also say that?
Yeah, yes. And what it does is it opens you up. It opens you up. There's a lot of people that okay, we only have 2 strands of DNA. They're the helix. And so what I know and what I was told by the council is that now it's time to regenerate the rest of the 32 DNA helixes. And so when I see them, I see the light wherever I put the symbols. I see the meridians in the body starting lighting up. And you know, the DNA is in every cell of your body. Mm-hmm. And so I can see the energy and the frequency just lighting up in the cells.
So you're saying there's a total of 33 DNA double helixes that the Council of Light
32.
32 total. And that's a lot of activation potentiality there.
Yeah, but it's not gonna activate all of them, because right now we only have the two, the double helix. And what happens is, you know, we're only 3D, 4D right now. And there is no way. Yeah, I know what I went through with the attunement at St. Andrew's Cathedral. And what I went through, I can't imagine having 32 DNA helixes activated. I mean, I think that would be for the 9th and 12th dimensions. But it's
so we're not ready for that, you're saying, yet.
No.
We just have to get to the level where we can function in 4 or 5D reality.
Right. Yeah.
And do you do this could you do this over the internet, or you have to be there in person to be?
Well, Ellen, I always did it in person because I was doing it around here. I have to tell you that part of the thing that I do is I work on ley lines. And when we were in England, well, first of all, I started in Scotland, and we were working with the Rosslyn Chapel.
Right.
Rosslyn Chapel. Well, I got there through Bill Bueller. He helped me with the ley lines in the chapel. So we stayed there 3 days. Then we worked down through Wales.
What do you do with the ley lines? Do you readjust them or something?
Yeah, and activate them. Yeah, we activate them. And so we went down to
wait, let me just ask one. You activate them, activating them does what for the planet or the people? What does that do?
Okay, well, the magnetic grid line of the Earth, okay, is let me say, from my teaching science, I can tell you that the Earth the Earth she's like a person. She's not young. She's not in her 20s and 30s. She would be like a person in her, I would say late, not even her older years, but her middle age. And so what happens is, as a person, you know, you can't sustain the youth and vitality that you had from the beginning. And so, like the Earth, she has had a magnetic grid line that covers her. And so now what's happening is there's a crystalline grid that has been coming online and taking over the magnetic grid line. And so I don't know how we got on that thing, but yeah, that's part of it.
Just curious what your work does for the Earth then when you activate the magnetic field.
Okay, yeah. What happened? Okay, well, what happened is we are starting to become crystalline, and we're starting to see more and more light in our blood, in our pineal glands, in our bones and everything. And there's crystals. There's crystals in our pineal gland. And so as a group, and people say, oh, well, some of us are more aware than others, and some of us aren't. And so when you think about it, in total physicality, we are part of Mother Gaia. And so all of us, her and us, must evolved together. There's no way out of it.
Because
You
these
know,
are, we're living inside the earth. These are our earth bodies, right? This is, so,
well, yeah, they, my council calls us surface dwellers. We're the surface dwellers. Yeah.
so you activate people, you activate the earth. And we'll talk about maybe how people can do a session with you at some, I mean, is there a website that you use?
Yeah, I do have, I have I haven't used it for a while. It's been dead in the water, starfireenergies.com. But I do have a Facebook, it's Starfire Energies in Facebook. Yeah.
And if people want to do a session on Zoom, is that possible for you?
Ellen, ever since your group, I started thinking about it, and I thought maybe I would use the people in your group
Okay.
to see how this will work, because they've been telling me that I've been fudging too long.
All right. Well, I think the group would be very much open to it because we're a collective. This is a remote viewing group that's where I met Dottie. But okay, so then talk about the Council of Light that you channel. I mean, who are they? And maybe we'll even do some channeling.
Okay, all right. Well, the first of all, the Galactic Federation is not the head of everything. You know, in our quadrant of the galaxy, there's the Universal Federation. And the Universal Federation is high up with the Divine Creator. Okay, and with the Divine Creator, there is Archangel Metatron and Melchizedek. And then after the Universal Federation, you have a certain group of angels that work there with them. And then you have the Ashtar Command. That's the next lower hierarchy, is the Ashtar Command. And then under the Ashtar Command is the Galactic Federation. And there are, they told me there's 7 times 7 times 7 councils of light with the Universal Federation. And then with the Galactic Federation, there's also a part of the Ashtar Command with 7 times 7 times 7 more councils of light. And then under that, you have the masters. You have all of the, there's 7 masters that are in charge of different parts of our Earth and our evolution, our ascension.
Great. So you're connecting on what level then?
I'm connecting on the I'm connecting on the Galactic Federation. They told me I used to be in the Universal Federation, and I got depressed, not depressed, but I got sad because things weren't working right. So I went on down to start helping on the land.
You went down to a lower level, you're saying?
Yeah, I was working with, because it just wasn't happening the way it was supposed to. So I said, okay, I'm going back down. I'll work with this.
So you were working above the earth, and then you kind of decided to work with the earth grids and the earth bodies. And
Alan, when I was a teacher, at the very beginning, when computers were put into the classroom, it was in 1980. I didn't know anything. I didn't know much about the stars or anything. And I sat in front of the computer and said, oh my gosh, I need a password. What kind of a password? What's a password? And all of a sudden this word Altair came into my head. And so I wrote it down, and that became my password. And I found out like 10 years later, it's a star. And so then I looked it up and I said, oh my gosh, I think that's the last place I came from near the Aquila constellation before I came to Earth.
So do you also connect back with that civilization?
No, I'm
don't.
always moving forward. Never look back. Just keep going.
Great. So what kind of information does the Federation of Light bring through? And
I always can tell it's them because it goes right into my heart, and they never say anything. They never say anything bad or dark. It's
Okay.
the energy is so uplifting, and they're telling people how to survive, how to make their lives work
Mhm.
positively.
So do you want to bring something through? I mean, I'm sure there's more to talk about, but you feel okay to do that?
Sure, I can channel.
You have any questions before we go into the channeling part, Justin?
No, I'm just I'm interested about your process. I like the maybe you can explain what's maybe going on, how you get into your state of
Yeah.
receiving.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that's interesting. Yes.
oh, you want to know how I channel?
Yes, if you want to share, that.
Okay, well, a long time ago, I started out and I needed a crutch. So this is my channeling scarf that I
Oh.
use.
Okay.
Right.
And you use it every time you channel. That's
Mostly. I don't have to. I sometimes I forget it. So then I say I just have to do it without it. But anyhow.
actually it does change your field a little bit. I mean, it looks great, but it does
Thank you.
shift. Yeah.
So the next thing I do is I say a prayer of protection and integrity to bring forth that which is real and nothing, and protection, and just for a love and light.
Mhm.
And then mentally, I close my eyes and I go upstairs to the Galactic Federation, to the council. And depending on what they're doing, I see myself there.
Mhm.
I go there. So,
Okay. So
I'm
how do you
just-
go? How do you actually get upstairs? What do you do to go there? You just meditate? How do you actually?
Okay,
This
the
happens.
only thing I can tell you about, okay, to go from one place, if you go from here to here, right?
Right.
You can just go, you can travel that way, but you can tesser and go like that.
Bend space and time. Yes. Yes. Yes.
In
All
my
right.
world, Alan, in my world, there is no time or space.
All right. Well, thank you. Well, I'm excited. So, okay, I guess we're ready, right, Justin?
Yeah, no, that's and I guess how long does it take you to get into your state? About a minute
Just
or
a
two?
second.
A second, nice, okay.
Well, dear ones, yes, we are here with you. You have requested our appearance, and so we said to ourselves, we will be there with you, for you need the information that we wish to give you. And we say to you at this time, it is very auspicious of this time to be here, for that which is coming in specifically at a different part of your lives that will make many changes and come through in many different ways for you. We say to you at this time, there are many things that are being prepared to come to the planet. We who are with you, we who come forward at this time, say that there is many, many things that will happen on this plane of existence to show you that which is happening will be happening for the positive. There are those that will seek not to be here at this time. And we ask you not to be sad. We ask you not to be fearful, for that is not the intention. There are many who are wishing to leave this planet at this time. Yes, and it is prevalent at this time that they go. They have made a contract that will allow them to be where they wish to be, where they need to be when they have left this place. And we say to you, there will be more to come. There is much more pleasure, much more integrity for the planet. For that which you see is not that which will be. For that which will be is an entirely a different evolution. And we say to you that it is now in the works. And there are many on the other side that are watching and waiting and hopefully knowing that it will come sooner than later. But we say to you, in your heart of hearts at this time, there are many questions that must be answered individually within your own hearts. And we say to you, within your own hearts, you only can answer those questions that will decide for you which way you will see your lives, which way you will see yourselves promoting that which you want to be. Yes, that which you want to be will be fulfilled in your own time, in your own place. And we say to you, there are many that are willing and waiting. And the ones that are not willing and waiting will also find their own performance, their own standard of living. For it is meant to be at this time. And we say to you, there are many of us out here that are wishing and waiting for your best health, for your best life, for your best soul work. That which is coming will be soon. So we say to you, do you have any questions for us that we might be able to answer at this time?
Yes. Could you be more specific? You say many things are coming. Can you, like what? Can you name them?
That would be that which you always want to know, dear one. You are the one that always wants to know more specifics. And
Yes.
we laugh with you and we say to you, yes. Some of it we cannot specifically go into at this time, for there are specific things that have to be put into control that we cannot say. But we can say to you at this time that there are changes in the systems that you can see around you, that you know must come down. And so we say to you, think to yourself the systems that you do not want to have control over you. And we will say to you, those are the ones, dear one, that will be coming down and allowing you the liberty and the freedom to be more of who you are at this time. And we welcome you into the circle of the light that you are when you are ready, for you have not even begun to evolve to where you will be going. And we say to you, we are watching you, we are working with you, and it is good, for you are on your path, dear one.
Is there a time frame? I mean, is it happening right now, this change? It seems like something is, but is there a specific other date? Yeah.
We, at this point in time, for the last millennium, have been watching and waiting for the time to come. And if you need a number, dear one, we would say to you that the last 100 years have been put into progress for that which we will be working with. We will tell you at this time that your people on the planet that are working to make the evolution happen are not the only ones that are working. For you see, we are a multitude of galactics and star brothers and sisters that come to you at this time to give you this information. For we are also working with you. We are also there with you. We have been with you for many, many eons as your brothers and sisters, and we will help you again. But there are times that must come as a time of information. One thing must happen so that the next thing can happen, so that the next thing can happen. And we are not at a point of disclosure when we can allow that, for, as you see, there are things that must be put into place before we can even tell you what is happening.
Right. Justin.
Yeah, actually, I know Dottie was explaining what happened to her at St. Andrews. Maybe from your perspective, can you explain what was happening? Because it seems like it was a very significant event in her life that led her to channeling, opening up the energies, Reiki. From your perspective, what happened there?
Well, we would tell you that this one has been on a path for many eons, working with different entities to make the evolution of the Earth and many other planets where you know that you are not alone. And she is a star walker, and she moves through her existence in many different ways and times. And so when she came onto this planet time ago, which we will not at this point get into because that is another story, but we say to you at this time, she has now come into that which is for her, that which is what she has been expected to carry the energy of. And so we have been working with her, and we have been elevating that which she is working with. And so we thank you for doing your part, for helping her do her part, so that we can all work together. For you know, dear one, that you are part of the work that is happening, and you are part of that which will happen to evolve this system into a higher place, because we will tell you that there are many galactic brothers and sisters that are watching and waiting for that which is happening on planet Earth. You are the inspiration of many planets, many stars, many galaxies, and we are all watching you. Our attention is on you, for what you can do and what you will be doing will evolve into an energy that will complete the energy of the universe. Do you have more?
Well, I mean, but that I'm trying about a specific event, maybe with St. Andrew. She was curious about her connection with St. Andrew. Perhaps is that a cross connection that is somehow important for that exchange of energy? Does that happen?
She has been evolved for centuries, and she has been working on your planet in many different ways and many different personages. We would say to you that she has been many different people that have helped the Earth evolve. And at this point, we will just say, for she does not want to be known for that which she has done before. And so she works on a day-to-day, a step-by-step procedure, and that which she has been and that which she has done shall be hidden from her, for she has asked that to be hidden. But she knows that she has been one of the golden ones that came from the beginning of time to help evolve and create this planet. She has been one of the golden ones that came in the beginning and then left because of what was happening on the planet. But then in her own cognizance, she has decided to return to help with the planet's evolving. And so she will go back to where she belongs when this is over. And she has completed her evolvement for the higher evolvement of the planet.
So you say things are coming and it's all coming in order, and it's okay. You don't have to reveal because things have to fall into place. But what can we do, each individual listening and wanting an evolution?
We would say to you, dear one, that even though you look at the pandemic as something very bad, we will say to you, it as a coin, it has two sides. And so the pandemic has been used in many ways for many different purposes. And one of the purposes was to have people go inside and look to themselves and their soul for what their soul needs. And we have seen humans as they work day to day, their minds and their bodies are so embedded into their they're working and their day-to-day life, and they have no time to think about that which is in their heart and that which is in their soul. And so one of the things that this pandemic was designed maybe to do was to have people look into themselves and have quiet time and see who they are and see who they want to be. For that which is in your heart is more important, is uppermost from your mind.
Mm. And that's a prerequisite for this next time that is coming, is my sense.
Absolutely. That which is coming must come from the heart of the dear ones that walk the planet, for they will be the ones that will be helping to evolve planet Earth herself. And also they will help open up the hearts and the minds of those who are not open at this time. And you have seen there are many, many souls that are not open at this time that need to open their hearts and see what is to be seen and heard what is to be heard that has not been seen and heard before.
Yes, no, thank you for that. Anything else, Josh? I mean, I could go on and on.
And maybe a little point about to assist people with the channeling process. One of the things that Dottie mentioned, of course, taking showers and the crystalline nature of water and our crystalline bodies, how that somehow improves the resonance. And could you confirm this or explain if this is a good thing for people to do, maybe to take longer baths and such to connect with their higher selves?
Mm-hmm.
We will tell you, as we told her, we explained to her that the water is like quartz crystal. It is just quartz crystal in another form. And so you see, you use quartz crystals in your computers, in your watches, in order to bring a higher frequency. And so that has been planned on many different levels to help humans to reach a higher level. And so, yes, when you think of physicality, it is very dense. It can be dense. And so what we're saying to humans is you do not want to be the dense physicality that you were. We have seen humans evolve. In the history of time, there have been many times when human beings have not used the cleansing with the water. And so when you use the water as a cleansing, it is also a conductor to a higher level of energy and frequency. And so we say to you all, yes, it is much the crystals, the water, anything that creates a higher vibration, a higher frequency. And right at this moment, we say to you that the energy and the frequency of different music, we would not like want you to know that there are some music that is not of an elevated level for people to evolve, but there are different musical compositions that have been brought to earth from a higher level so that that frequency can also be used. And also your faith, when you become very spiritual, and we would not say not church, not religion, but anything that takes you to a higher level of frequency is part of the evolution of mankind.
Which music do you like? Would you recommend classical?
We would say the compositions of composers of the one that our channel likes the best is the Star Wars, and those kinds of compositions of the Star Wars compositions are probably because we are out here and we have those kinds of compositions ourselves. For we would say to you that we are not as evolved as we want to be. And we, as you, as a species, are trying to evolve ourselves. And so if you evolve and we evolve together, then we will all evolve to a higher evolution on the path to ascension. And so, yes, we would say to you, there are different compositions, but we would say to you, as we have heard, the hard rock is not, and the rap music, we are sure is not the high vibration, but we would say to you that the people that make the compositions that are the higher vibration have also contained the higher vibration within their physical body.
Right. Are you physical beings or more non-physical?
We are physical beings on a higher elevation. And if you know, the dimensions have higher vibration. And so some of us on the path of vibration are higher and lower. And we would tell you again that you cannot rely on all of us for that which you want. For that which you want and that which you desire must come from within. And only if you ask us, then we can help you. But some of us are on higher dimensions, but there are many of us that are in the fifth dimension of where you are trying to ascend to at this time, and that which we are trying to enable you or help you. We cannot do it for you. We can only advise you and support you in this measure to do the ascension.
And then where do you go? What's your next level?
We are always trying to ascend to a higher level, you see, and we have our own ways of doing the ascension. And at this point, we are on the 6th and the 7th and the 8th dimension. And some of us in the higher hierarchy of your universe and your part of the cosmos are in higher levels, such as it never stops. We would tell you that the energy never stops. It just goes higher until you go back to the divine creator.
That's actually your perspective of us. So you look at us, you see us in some of your field, but you recognize the unity always, that we are you and you are us. You can, or do you find it? I mean, how does that function necessarily?
We would say to you that you are your own sovereign being, as we are our own. Each of us, as we see you, as we can look down with our own equipment, we can see you. We have our own, as you would say, remote viewing. We can see you as you are your own divine light sovereign being. So are we, our own, each one of us in our own dimension. We are our own sovereign being, and each one is responsible for their soul evolvement. And that's why you came here to this learning planet, to evolve your soul. You might think that you came here to do other things and help other people, but even in your service to others, you are evolving your soul to make a higher evolution for yourself. Even though it is said that we are all one, which we are, each one of us is a particle, a sovereign being of the one that has created all of us.
Do you, before you go, do you want to give us an energy blast, or is that something Dottie does?
That is not for us to do. We give you messages.
Okay.
And we would say to you before we leave and bow out that we love you. We have always been with you. We walk beside you and we help you. We see your light. You have no You have no idea how bright your lights are, for you are within and you are looking out, but we are outside looking in. And we see you, dear ones. We love you. It is so, and so it is.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I was when I was thinking when I was looking
You
at
okay?
Dottie, the Star Wars came up for me too. Before they said that, I was thinking Carrie Fisher in the Star Wars. There's a bit of resemblance there, and
Maybe. Are you okay, Dottie? Did
Yes,
that
I'm
take a
good.
lot of energy from you?
It just takes me a while to disconnect.
Do you remember what you said? What was said?
I remember some of it, but 5 minutes from now, I won't remember any of it.
Wow. Yeah, Justin, you were saying, yeah, did you hear the part about the music of Star Wars? That's what Justin was.
yeah, I was just like pointing out. I was like, and it's some something you like to listen to Star Wars, and I'm guessing you like the films and
the frequency of the music,
because it's feeding into the idea of a galactic federation, or some people will never connect with that idea because they're not open to that kind of fantasy. Maybe they're open to other kinds of fantasy.
Well, what I was, there's a composition that I was that I listened to that's similar to that, but it's a high, if you look for the high frequency music, there's people out there that are making it.
well,
Yeah.
the music of the Academy for Future Science, J.J. Hurtak's work.
I have the book,
The Keys of Enoch. Yes.
I
Yes.
will tell you, I had to read it 3 times before I could even understand half of it.
It's a very high frequency. Yes.
Right, but I can tell you that there is one part of the Keys of Enoch that explained the Starfire transmission in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll look for that because I'm actually visiting him. But have you heard their music though? Their music is pretty amazing.
No, well, you know what? It's probably good. Yeah.
I'll send you some. I'll send you some.
Thank
Are you okay? Do you want to take a rest now? Is there anything else you want to say
I'm
before?
good. I'm good.
Okay. Because I asked them, because when you were in our group, you gave a little blast of energy to everyone.
Okay. All right.
You want to do that?
Okay. All right. What I want you to do is close your eyes. Okay. I want you to take 3 deep breaths.
And that's for everyone watching too. Okay. All right.
Right. And I'm going to call on the Galactic Federation, the Council of Light. It is so, and so it is.
Thank you. Thank you.
you.
Did you just pulled some energy through from them? Is that what you did?
I don't know, Alan. I asked for assistance, and so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
It felt good for me. How did that feel for you, Justin?
Definitely, yeah. I was in tune with sort of a bit of a surge, and thank you for that.
And thank you for your time. Is there, do you want to give a way for people to contact you if they want a session or?
Right. They can use my email address.
Which is, again, I have it somewhere.
Okay.
Altair. A
L
A L
T
L.
A I R
Uh-huh.
4477
Okay.
at AOL.com.
Great.
I have to mention another synchronicity here. Altair sounds a bit like Alderaan. Alderaan is where Princess Leia comes from. Just in the
Oh,
yeah. And it was destroyed by the Death Star, if you know the story. But I just thought it was kind of cool that.
You know, they also said you're going to return there when your work is finished here in this
oh,
past.
really? Okay.
I mean, I think that's what they said. You're part of the golden ones. Yes.
I'm not packing my bags there very soon.
No, you have a lot of work to do here. You do. Well, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
um,
Thank
is
you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Take care and be safe out there.
Okay. Any final words? I guess you've said them, but any words before you go? You've said it. You've said a lot. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dottie. I'll see you probably Thursdays.
7 o'clock. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And
It was nice to meet you, Justin.
Nice to meet you as well, Dottie. I much appreciate that. Wonderful story and wonderful channeling.
Thank you.
yeah,
you.
no, for me, when you say it, I know it's true. I know it's real. I mean, you're just minding your own business and boom, it happens. And then you probably weren't looking for it. And that's why it happened. Thanks. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much, Dottie.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. And Justin will be doing this again in about 2 weeks.
Right.
That was pretty amazing, wasn't she?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I was I love the yeah, you were talking about coming from these situations where one doesn't want to ever, these people don't want to become channelers. It's not like they kind of resisted obviously in the beginning because it's you don't want to be weird, but 2005, that's pretty early. And not so many people were doing it, and then to put herself out there, I think it's amazing. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't suspect anything from her when she took the remote viewing course. She, seemed like, interesting, nice person, but like then she brings through this energy and starts to tell her story. I think more and more people are waking up to this frequency that seems to be activating on the earth.
Yeah.
So thanks for your time today. I'll be yeah.
And then next week, Laird Scranton will be
in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, that would be what is that?
23rd. But he's kind of confirmed, and he has he's written many books on the Dogon tribe and the extraterrestrial connections with the pyramids.
But he's not a channel, or is he a channel?
No, but I'm curious because he does have some sort of view on that. And
great.
And so if we have another channeler with us, with him, it would become a nice combination.
Well, thanks for setting it up. I'm also going to release the Lee Carroll, Chiron, Marilyn Harper. Beautiful. So that people watching can look forward to that kind of channeling episode. And then also don't forget to look for my book, Making Contact, if you're new to this channel. And thanks, Justin. I thought that was really excellent.
Definitely. Yeah. Every time I'm just, and I'll take more baths now. I like that. And, I think that's, yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right. That was kind of a key. Keep fine tuning with these liquid crystals of water that is abundant on the earth.
Yeah, and the music. I disagree with the hip hop. I think there is versions of that music that can actually uplift you and the frequency, but that's just my personal opinion.
I'm not. I mean, that's okay, but I don't tend to listen to it. So yeah. It's okay to disagree. Just because someone's channeling doesn't mean you have to.
No, it's definitely this is a perspective that's being offered. As a disclaimer to anybody watching this. Take whatever works for you. I would never, ever, for anybody, it doesn't matter if it's a guru or whatever, if it resonates with you, and if it doesn't resonate with you tomorrow, then drop it tomorrow,
No, that's a really good disclaimer because, whatever's being said by whoever's saying it, you have to tap into your own truth and see, does it does it resonate? And
Yeah. And
that's,
it
yeah.
serves you anyways, because you begin to think a bit more about yourself and your ideas. So even ones that maybe seem like they're not saying something that really hits you, but that might help you uncover another aspect of who you are and how you can find this information that suits you, I think. Most definitely.
Great. No, it sounds great. Thanks. That's good. So we'll see you soon. We'll be in touch. Okay.
Definitely, Alan. Yeah, have a great day.
Thanks. Talk
Bye.
to you.
See you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.